Hello everyone, welcome back. So now I'll be talking about the record sharing related interview questions, and we will also be talking about the Apex sharing. So on last session we briefly checked on how do we create the Apex sharing for a standard object. Okay. See, so sharing is same for custom objects as well. It's just that there are a few fields. Whenever we create a shared record, there are a few fields we'll have to provide value to. So first we will understand what they are, and then we will create a custom sharing or apex defined sharing for a custom object. Okay, so for custom object, like for the opportunity, it was opportunity share record object. Here for custom object, it will be your custom object name underscore share. So this will be the custom object name for your share record. Okay, and these are the fields you will be needing to provide access to whenever you create a record for apex defined sharing for that custom object. Okay, so your object name attached with access level, and there are three types of access level. Okay, so for opportunity, it was opportunity access level. For your custom object, it will be your custom object access level. And there are three values: edit, read, and all. But we cannot use all. It is an internal value to the system. We cannot use all. So we have only two options. Either we provide edit access or we provide read access. Okay. And then parent ID. Parent ID is the ID of the custom object on which you are creating the sharing record. So whichever record you are sharing on the parent ID, you will pass the ID of that record itself. Okay. We cannot update this field later on because this holds the actual record which we are going to share. Row cause. Row cause is very important. Row cause basically tells you the reason why you are sharing that particular record. Okay, the default value is manual, and that's what we selected yesterday as well. So for standard object, the only available value for row cause is manual. Okay, but what happens is that whenever we change the ownership of a record, then whatever records, even with the apex shared record which we created, will be removed because it was shared manually. So row cause basically tells us that the reason why we want to share the record, and it is available for custom objects. So you can create your own row cause, own sharing reasons, and then provide the value as that reason in this row cause. We will see shortly how we do that. Okay, but for standard object, manual is the only option. The only difference between manual and this custom defined sharing reason is that when you delete the when you change the ownership of the record, if the row cause was manual, then sharing record will also get deleted. But if the row cause was custom defined, then apex will not delete those shared record. They will still be shared with the user even if you change the ownership, because what apex expects you is that you have custom created those, your reasons were custom, so that is why you will be taking care of all such thing on your own. Salesforce will by default not delete them. So that's the difference between the manual row cause versus custom defined row cause. Okay, and we will see how do we create it. Okay, then user or group ID. User or group ID is the ID of the user or the public group we want to share that record with. Okay, this could be public group ID or a territory group ID, and this can have multiple users as well. It's just that we'll have to add those users in that public group and then define the public group ID. And we last time we checked it with just one user. That's what we are going to do today. But later on, you can check it with the public group as well. Okay. You cannot grant access to unauthenticated guest users. Of course, that is understood fact. Like, why will we provide it to? And that's how you will see that how you provide these. So this is what I was talking about. Row is a field where you give this uh, row as manual. Okay, annual is the by default value, so we need not to provide it as manual. Okay, and yeah, that's it. So these are the fields we have to take care. Okay, you can go through the complete detail if you want to go through. Okay, but let us go to now, how do we define the apex? apex defined sharing reason. So we go to that apex, we go to that object. Okay, so on position object, I want to create an apex sharing. Okay, but if you see on the left panel, there is no such option to define the reason, sharing reason or anything, because this option is only available on Salesforce Classic. Okay, so we will go to Salesforce Classic. Okay, let's go to setup. And if I go to this object's definition, you can go from here as well. And if you scroll down, here you will get this option, Apex sharing reason. Okay, so from here you can provide the Apex sharing reason. You can name it anything, test reason, and save this. Okay, you will be able to see them now. Okay, nothing, it just a sample text field to be verifying. It does not ask you to do anything else. Now I'll go back to the Lightning. Yesterday we created an Apex shared record for opportunity. Um, I will today do it for position. Okay, so there is a checkbox on position which called urgent. So every time we get an urgent position, let's say we want to share it with the other recruiter as well, so that they both can work on the same position and can find the suitable candidates easily. Okay, so position on which every time we get a new position which is urgent, we will create this. Okay, so whenever position gets inserted in the system, that means trigger will be on the insert. And if urgent is true, then we will have to create the Apex defined sharing. Now to create Apex defined sharing, we will be needing position ID as well. That means our trigger will be on the after context. So that will be after insert. Okay. Let's go to the developer console. We already have position. Okay. So here, what we need to do is for, let's write it down, a sample code. Okay. And we check if urgent is true, right? So if current position dot, we will see if we get any error. Okay. If current positions urgent checkbox is true, then we will have to create the code to create the share record. Okay. Now here you have option to either go to create another Apex class and then do all those things there, or you can write it down here. What is the need to create custom row cause? Any use cases? Yes, the need to create custom row cause is that if you define a custom row cause, then even if you change the ownership of that record, the sharing record will not get deleted. So let's say you created a custom row cause and shared a record A with user B, and then later on you change the record ownership of user record A, then also user B will have access to that record. That is why we use custom row cause, because because you have created custom, Salesforce expects you that you will take care of the reason why you have shared it, and later on when you do not need it, you will take care of how to remove it. Salesforce need not to do that automatically. Okay. Yeah, can you cover view all and modify all? Definitely I will cover that, don't worry. So we can go to another class and create, but here for the simplicity purpose, let's create, or let's write code right here itself inside the trigger. Okay, so what I told you is that the name of your share object will be position underscore underscore share So this will be the name of your share record. Okay, new share record is equals to new, and we will just copy this. We have created an instance of positions here. Okay, now let us provide the values on it. Okay, new share record dot first will be the, let's say, parent ID. Parent ID will be the current position ID. Okay, and let's say the it should come automatically. So let's give the access level. I want to give the read access. Now let's say we give the, yeah, hi Shikib, feel free to ask.
We always say like we open up the access from OWD to Apex sharing. So what does it mean? So what kind of
Okay.
accessibility we are giving more?
If OWD was private, okay, then if you define a read access, then the user, let's say from user A and user B, you are doing this. Okay, let's say OWD was private for an account ABC. Now user A will be able to see his own account. User B will be able to see his own account. Now this account ABC is owned by user A. Now opening up access means you want user B also to have a read access on account ABC. But because OWD is private, user B will not be able to see this account ABC. So in that case, what we can do is we can create an epic sharing and provide a read access to user B for an account ABC. Did you get it?
Yeah, got it.
Okay, now I want to share it with the same user, which we did yesterday. So I'll get the copy, get the ID of it right after this. And here is the, if we do not provide any row cause, like if we just do not provide anything, skip this line, then it will be manual. Okay. And even in the case of custom object, we can still select manual and it will work. Okay. The only difference is that when we change the ownership, then this will automatically get deleted. Okay. So that is why we use the custom defined sharing, so that even if the relationship change, even if the ownership changes, your share record will not get deleted. Okay. So if I want to show you that if it will work with manual or not, I will show you. Okay. And then we will create the custom one as well. And again, the same thing, I will not insert inside the loop. So let's create a list of share record. List to insert. And we will do this. And here, what I'm going to do is this current record. We will go outside of the loop and insert this. Okay. Did we miss any field? No. See, if OWD is already, let's say, read all. If OWD is already read all, and then if you try to open up the access, it will give you an error here when you try to run this, because the error will be like the OWD is already permissive, so that you will not be. I will show you that. Don't worry. Okay. So if OWD is already more than what you are trying to give access to, then it will throw you an error saying that it is already, it is not required. Okay. Let's get the user. Okay. So let me get the user from the, I use this tool a lot because this helps me to easily find all the things which I need. Okay. Salesforce inspector. Those who are working in the debugging and all may find this tool very
I love
useful.
that tool. I love that.
Yeah. I
We got a latest, right, updated from that inspector.
I don't know. I haven't checked it. So
No,
I'm
it got updated.
okay. Did it get any new feature?
Yeah, something got added. I mean, we have only 4 5 tabs, right? We got some more. That's it. Look and feel is different now.
Yeah. Okay, Chandresh is asking custom row cause only applicable for Epic sharing. Yes, it is only applicable for Epic sharing. It will not be applied on any other sharing rule or other things. And in fact, custom row cause is not available for the standard objects sharing. So if you create a sharing for opportunity object, you will not get an option to create a custom row cause. Okay, because the manual is the only available option for the standard object. That's what I learned last time when I created it, maybe changed, but you can confirm, but it is not available for even the standard object. Okay, now I think this will work. Let's go back and create a new position and also try to open a another user in the incognito so that we'll be able to see if we got access or not. Okay. Mm, the screen. Okay. You guys are still able to see my screen, right?
Yes, Mohit.
Yeah.
Okay. Chris is asking most of the recording sharing can be achieved using sharing rule or manual sharing. What could be the real-time scenario? No, most of the recording cannot be shared with the sharing rule because sharing rule is very limited. So even if you'll have to navigate to any other parent object to check something, you will not be able to do with the sharing rules. So you will have to create. So if your criteria is within that object itself, then only you might be able to do it in the sharing rule. But if it spans to other related objects as well, let's say from child to parent, you will not be able to do in the sharing rule. You'll have to define an epic sharing. Okay. So let's say in this case, this checkbox is on the position itself. But let's say if the opportunity is the parent of position and this checkbox is in the opportunity object, then you will have to do with the epic sharing only. Okay, not with the sharing rules. Okay, let's create a new position and see if it is working or not. Okay. Let's go to position, position 3. Okay. And I will mark the urgent as true and will save this. Okay. All right. Now, if I show you, this is the dummy user to screen. Okay. Yes, you can use custom row cause in flow. Let me see if we'll be able to see the position 3. So now you can see the position 3 is available to this dummy user as well. Okay. And if we try to edit it, they should give me error that you do not have edit privilege. Okay. So that's how you see that you can share the record via Apex as well for custom objects as well. Okay. Nice. Okay. So is it clear to you guys?
Mohit, one question. Initially, you did one change, right? You were given some changes.
Sorry, can you
What is that column? Initially, you gave some data before you start writing the script, Apex sharing. I mean, in the setup level,
just a second? Okay, so I was here on the developer console.
before to this, you gave some.
In
Uh,
classic, in classic is sharing like
Okay, so yeah, so in Classic we created the sharing reason, okay, and I will come to that as well. Now,
okay.
if if I on the position 3, if I go and change the owner to any other user, let's say any third user, in that case my dummy user will lose access to this position record. Okay, he will lose access to this position record because it was manually shared. And that is why, to overcome scenarios like this, if we use the row cause as the custom row cause, then even if I change the owner of this record to any third user, the record which was shared with dummy user will still be there. He will still have read permission on that. So that is the advantage of using the custom row cause. Okay, and now we will do that and see if we use custom row cause, whether we'll be able to share the record or not. Okay, so I will remove manual. And why I'm not able to show you is that because if I change the owner to the third user, I'll have to provide the read permission on that object. And I do not have any third user in this org which can have that. Most of these are identity user or analytical user, which will not be able to give that permission on their profile. Yes, Shiki, please go ahead. But
Yeah.
on your own, okay? Yeah.
Yeah, Mohit. So if the row cause is custom, and suppose the record has been shared to a user, and role hierarchy is also there. So suppose the ownership has been changed. So the person who is above the A will also see the record or not?
Yes, if you have shared it with, let's say, user B, and let's say there is a user C who is higher on the role hierarchy of user B, then by the virtue of role hierarchy, he will also be able to see the record. Okay.
Even if the record owner has been changed.
Yeah, even see, that is why I'm saying that custom row cause has an advantage over the standard manual row cause, because here Salesforce will not intervene. Salesforce thinks that you have provided a custom reason about why you shared that record with that user. So you will take care of when to delete it, when not to delete it. Salesforce will not intervene here. But if you will choose manual, then Salesforce will think that, okay, I have to take care of this. So if your ownership is changed, it is my responsibility to delete the share record as well. Okay. But if you will select the custom reason, then Salesforce will feel that, okay, it is now customer is saying that they will take care of this. I will not take care of this. So then Salesforce will not by default delete the sharing record. Okay. So that is why you have to be absolutely sure why you want to share the record and when you will have to take that sharing back. So let's say you want to you have changed the ownership and now you feel that now there is no reason to share the record, even if without changing the owner, you feel that the purpose why you shared that record is done. You go to the reason, um, uh, custom row cause reason, and then delete that reason. Whatever shared record which were created with that reason will also get deleted. Okay.
Okay, and the same case with the manual sharing.
Sorry, for manual sharing.
Yeah, if suppose we are sharing a record through manual sharing,
Hmm.
and the owner has been changed, so still the person earlier who has been shared with, so they can it can be visible, right?
If the record has been shared manually and you change the ownership, the share record will also get deleted. Okay. But if you have not changed the ownership, then let's say if you have shared it with user B, then user C, who is manager of user B, will also be able to
They
read.
can, yeah, they can. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
See, on that case, standard Salesforce rules will apply, which gives role hierarchy permission to view the record in the higher hierarchy. Okay.
okay, okay, okay.
See, that is why I always say that questions related to record sharing and security can be very tricky and can be time consuming as well. Whichever you doubt have, okay, note it down, write it down. Do not skip any of the record sharing security question because this is base. You can understand the seriousness of this by thinking that they have their own certification just for this, sharing and visibility certification just for this. Okay, and that certification is not an easy certification. That certification is an important certification to become an architect. Okay, so it is a very important thing. Okay,
One more question. Sorry,
okay,
Mohit.
no problem.
Suppose so there is a recalculation of sharing rules. So that happens with the manual sharing and epic sharing both.
Yep. So here, when you go to the share Epic Share reason as well, there is an option to Epic Sharing recalculation. You can, if you manually want to recalculate it, that is also possible. But if you do that, it will see. You can delete the custom sharing reasons as well. In that case, those recalculation will automatically happen. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Mehul is asking, how do I revoke access granted to a user through manual sharing without changing the owner? Go to the backend, delete the shared record which you created for that user. Okay.
Yeah, Mohit.
Yep. I have this.
So without
Hi, Mohit.
admin, that cannot be done, right?
Sorry.
Without admin, this you said go to backend and delete the share record, right? So
Yeah,
without
without
admin,
admin, that I don't think that will be possible. So in that case, you might have to raise a case with your admin and ask them to, because the standard user will hardly do that. And if a business user need to do that, then there can be some rules we can define in order to change the ownership to this particular user, or some other ways to do that. But that will be defined by business, not by us, with the with how they want to do. What will be the scenarios to revoke and what will happen when you revoke. So we first need to define the rules around how to revoke that, when to revoke that, and what happens when we revoke that, and then we will build the automations on Salesforce to do that. Okay. It will it will be driven by business, not by the admins. Okay.
Yeah, Mohit.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
Mohit.
Mohit.
Mohit, same question. Like I have been asked in one interview that suppose we have shared records to the multiple user through sharing rules, and after some time, if we want to like undo that thing, so how can we do that?
Okay, you have shared the record with the sharing rule. Revoke the sharing rule. Change the
That is the only way, right?
sorry.
That is the only way.
Yeah, yeah. See, if you have defined it with the sharing rule and you want to restrict it, then see on the visibility, what are the options we have? OWD, sharing rule, role hierarchy, and manual sharing. Manual sharing is not in question. OWD, you will not be touching for requirement like this. So obviously, it will be sharing rule. You will be see there is something called restriction rules. Okay, but it is not a fully baked product. Okay, so we do not use it in R because of the limitations it has. We cannot have more than 5 restriction rules per object, and it is very limited in terms of capabilities. So we are not using restriction rules a lot, but otherwise you can also mix restriction rules and can say you can restrict it for a particular user or group of users if you want to restrict. But only from the interview point of view you can coin the term restriction rule. In the real business org, we are not using restriction rule because it is not a fully baked product. It is not a fully baked feature. It is yet to be fully capable. Okay, so you will have to change the sharing rule in order to do that. Okay. See, sometimes the interview questions related to sharing and security requires a discussion with interviewer. So it's not only about answering the correct answer, it's about asking the cross questions as well in order to be able to fully understand the question. So don't shy away from asking your doubts from interviewer when it comes to record sharing and security, because it could be very tricky, and it could be an expectation from interviewer that candidate is asking questions, follow-up questions on this. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. After that question, I got one another question for same. Like
Mhm.
I said the same thing what you said. Then
Mhm.
after that, he said like suppose we want to choose some users to whom
Mhm.
I given the record access, and I want to just revoke for that user, then how will you do that?
Yeah, so he might be expecting restriction rules from you in return.
Okay, then I didn't work on that, so I didn't answer.
See, restriction rules are the rules, and I will cover it in one session. I will show you how we create it, how if you have to individually restrict a record's access to, I mean, a user should not be able to see a particular record, we can use restriction rules, and by that you can hide that particular record from the user even if other criterias are matching. So in interviews, it becomes very important that sometimes they try to say that 10 users have access to record, but I want to hide that record from one user. Then in that case, you will do the restriction rules. And I will cover restriction rule in one topic, one session. I have covered that in previous batch as well. And in this also I will cover. Okay. So he was
Okay,
expecting restriction rules from you, ideally.
okay,
Yeah, Mohit, one question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Mohit, let's say we are on the record this position 3. Okay. So the requirement, like I need to see this. I mean, this record is shared with how many users and by which sharing rules it is shared, or by which Apex class it is shared. How we can see it from this record? It is possible, like we have a, so many sharing rules, Apex share will be there, and so many public groups are there. And now I want to see that, like, this record is shared with how many users and which sharing rules.
And
Is it possible to see?
you are developer, right? You can
Yeah,
you can access the backend, right?
yeah, yeah.
So if you can access backend, then it will become easy. Just query for the share record of this object, okay,
Mm-hmm,
and check for the parent ID, check
mm-hmm,
for the row cause,
hmm.
and check for the user group or ID with whom it was shared. Okay, with row cause, you will be able to find if it is manual or if it is Apex defined. Okay, that will the only bifurcation you might get, that okay, if it was Apex defined, you can go to that Apex defined and can see if there is any option available. If it was manual, then but it will not tell you that by which sharing rule it was shared, and who has access. You can obviously get by the user or group ID, but from which sharing rule it was shared, I don't think you will be able to get it. But I will see if there is any other way to. The
If you
ideal
just
way
click
is
on
to.
the record, in the hierarchy, it shows from which record it is shared.
Will it also tell that for which sharing rule it was shared?
Yeah, I think so. It shows from where you just get the access. If you just click the role hierarchy, yeah, that right, let's suppose the position 3 is shared with someone. The nearby position 3, the hierarchy shows. And this shows that.
You were talking about this option, no? Yeah, so it will only tell you that with whom it was shared. That is we are able to see already. We want to check if
This
we can get an option about by which sharing rule it was shared. I don't think you can get it from UI. Okay. With whom it was shared, there can be multiple ways, right? From the query or from here also you will be able to see uh, sharing hierarchy. You'll be able to see that these are the users who have access to this record and what kind of permission they have. But by which sharing rule it was shared, I don't think we'll be able to get even in the query as well. Okay, so I will check that. Okay. But see, ideally, these kind of questions, if you get this in an interview, even if you're not able to answer 100%, whatever you are able to answer, try to reach as near as possible. It's okay not to be able to answer 100% right. Okay, there can be sometimes question which does not have any answer at all. They ask question just for the sake of asking. They want to see your approach. There is no answer, there is no correct answer, or there can be multiple correct answers as well. So don't worry about and don't take stress if you're not able to answer a question. Try to reach as near as you can. What is the different value of row cause in Apex sharing? It is manual and then it is Apex defined. Okay. By default is manual, and if you will not define any value, then it will be treated as manual. But if you've defined anything as an Apex sharing, you can use that as well. These are the only two options. Okay.
Wait,
Mohit,
one question.
Yeah, Mohit, can you please tell me in the short as one more time, like what is the row cause and what is the use of this?
Okay, see, row cause is nothing but the reason why you are sharing. Okay, it basically is a reason why you are sharing, and there are two values. One is manual. Manual means it is a temporary setup. Temporary, you want to give access to someone else, and it is not intended to be given for a specific reason. There is no particular reason. It is manual. That means that, let's say I am going on leave for one day, I'll manually share that record with the user. Even if I'm using manual sharing, that is also manual. And if I'm using Apex but row cause is manual, that means I'm manually doing it. Is just a temporary thing. It does not have any bigger purpose. Okay, so Salesforce will treat it as a temporary setup. Whenever you change the ownership, Salesforce automatically feels that you don't need it any longer and will also delete the share record. Now, when you defined Apex row cause as a custom row cause and you give a reason, let's say you defined a reason that uh, leadership changes. Now, leadership changes is a custom defined reason, and that is why, let's say, VP has changed its position. Now from VP Finance, it is going to be moved to VP Marketing. So someone else will come as a VP Finance, and you have selected a reason that because of the leadership changes, you are sharing few of these records manually. Now, Salesforce, if you have defined a custom Apex row cause, that means Salesforce feel that you have done it by purpose. You have a bigger reason to do this, and you will take care of when to remove these. So they will not remove the share record even if you change the ownership of that record. So that's the only difference between the row cause manual versus row cause custom. Okay.
Okay, Mohit, thank you.
Thank you, Avdesh. Okay, Mehul is asking for manual sharing. Does Salesforce create new object share record in the yes, for manual sharing, Salesforce does create the records in the backend, and that's how they associate the record with the other user. Okay.
Yeah, Mohit,
Mohit,
this
one
is
question.
Mohit.
Yes, Swapnil, go ahead.
Yeah, you just said there might be the multiple answer for some questions. So I just need to ask about that particular question that there is 100 users and we just want to share that, restrict that two users to be not share that record. So there is one as an restriction tools. And there might be, I used to answer that the permission set group, muting options.
Okay, can you repeat the question, Firse? There are.
Yeah, let's consider there is one option. There is 100 users, and between that 100 users, we just have to restrict the two users about that do not have that access or the any access of that.
Okay.
Okay,
Let's,
later
let's,
something. So there
let's
is one option we can do it from the restriction tools.
okay.
There is again, I used to answer that. Let me just correct this better. The permission set group. In the permission set group, there is a mute option. So by muting, just create the mute permission. By using mute permissions, we can achieve that and let assign that permission set to the two users.
Okay.
So
See,
is it correct or the only restriction?
let me drill down your question first, then I'll tell you. There are 100 users. Okay. I want to show a particular, let's say, account record. I have created a sharing rule or something and have shared that record with all 100 users. I want to restrict it for 2 users and 98 should be able to see that, right?
Right, right.
See, whenever it comes to seeing something, okay, uh, and you understand that whenever you want someone else to see a particular record, then that means they are not the owner of that record, someone else is. That means it comes in the record level sharing, not on the object level sharing. Okay. So ideally, yes, we'll create a sharing rule, share it with those 100 users, create a restriction rule so that those two users will not be able to see that record. That will be the, I don't think permission set will play any role in this because they will obviously increase your object level access but not increase your visibility level access. Like they have nothing to do with the visibility unless it is about objects or field visibility itself. Okay, so they already have object and field visibility. It's just that they are not able to see someone else's record, or will have to restrict them into to view someone else's record. So I don't think permission shared group will play any role here because they have nothing to do with the record level visibility, whereas sharing rule or manual sharing can do that. Okay, so
We can use muting permissions, right? Which are present in permissions of group.
Yeah, that was I am just asking.
I have not
In
actually
permission
used
set
it.
group, there is one option to mute
I
the
will check that.
permissions.
I will check that. I have not used this muting option to be very frank, so I will check that and then we'll come back to you on this question. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
But by my basic understanding, I don't use permission set group or anything for record level things. Okay. But I
Yeah,
will
okay.
check
Thank
that.
you.
Okay. Yes, guys.
Mohit, one question.
Yep. Okay. Go ahead.
The one, I mean, previous guy has asked something on the same line. I got confused with that answer, with the question and answer. See, the question was like, the user has given, I mean, it's between manager and the reportee. The reportee record is got shared through role hierarchy, and the question was like, Apex sharing was being invoked again here. So when we have Apex sharing, why we are invoking the Apex? When we have a role hierarchy, why we are invoking the Apex sharing again? One is fine, right? I mean,
Yeah, might be role hierarchy is unchecked.
no. He said like role hierarchy is there, and he wants to invoke Apex, and he says that manual, and if the owner of the record has changed, will my manager see that record? That was the question which I heard. My point was like, when we have the role hierarchy already, why we are getting this Apex?
If someone is already getting access via role hierarchy, and then if you want to create a sharing rule or any epic sharing, that will not be very, I mean, that will not be a good use case unless you have someone else to share that record with along with the manager. So clarify your questions from the interviewer in case you have any doubt related to, if it is just the manager you want to share that record with, that will already be achieved via the role hierarchy. So you can ideally say that there is no need to create epic sharing. In that case, there can be other users as well who might be looking for the access on that record, so that you can create the epic sharing or any other additional sharing. Additional sharing is only required when we have to share it with other users, not with the users which are by default getting it. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so that's always happens with
Mohit, I have one doubt. Suppose a user has edit access to manual or sharing, whatever reason, but now he is not having the access. So how do we trace back as admin that why he is not getting the access, who revoked the access? How do I trace
okay.
this back?
Okay, can you explain your question more? A user had edit access on a record.
Right.
Is he the owner of that record?
No, not the owner.
So that might be possible that he just have read access on that record. Like he can, let's say if we are talking about account, I can
Okay.
edit my account. I have edit permission. Can you mute your account? Yeah. Okay. Let's say I'm talking about account. I can edit accounts. I have got edit permission on account by my object permissions. Okay. But I can only edit my accounts. If I want to edit someone else's account, then in that case, someone else should be able to share that record with me in edit mode. Okay, I have edit permission on account, but I will by default be only able to edit my accounts, not someone else's account. If I want to have permission to edit someone else's account as well, then in that case, that record must be shared with me in the edit mode. Okay, now you're saying that it was earlier in the edit mode, but you are not able to edit them now. So you can check back if there is anything changed on the sharing rule, which was ideally giving you edit permission earlier, but might just be giving you read permission now. Okay, there can be multiple reasons, but you will have to track back to the original point which was giving you access, giving you edit access on someone else's record, and that will be the starting point to see if it is still giving you edit access or not. If it is still giving you edit access yet you are not able to edit it, then you will have to check back either you have edit permission at all on that object or not, like whether you can edit your or your own accounts or not. If you are able to edit them as well and you are not able to edit someone else's record, then you will see that if there is any higher level changes, like I don't think there could be anything which will if sharing rule is giving you edit permission yet you are not able to share it, then there could be some permission issue or other issue, but ideally you will be able to do that. Most of the time when you trace back the sharing rule or the original point which actually gave you sharing access or edit access, that will be the main cause of it.
And if the shared record gets deleted, is it saved in recycle bin or something from where we can check if it's been manually shared or not?
I was not able to follow. Can you write this down? It was
Yeah,
not
yeah,
able
sure.
to down. Yeah, hi.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mohit,
Mohit.
I have a question.
Yeah,
What are the
Nitin.
limitations of Apex sharing?
Limitations as in I have not seen it from the limitations point of view. To be very frank, just I checked it from the features point of view. So limitations, let's check. There is no as such limitations to point out, but let me write them down on my notes because sometimes you will get this question as well. But I'll write this down. Uh,
Yeah, because if you see, we have few limitations with all the sharing rule. Like with sharing rules, there is criteria based and user based. Sorry, what is that? Owner.
Over. Mhm.
So uh, that is quite a limited thing. Like to give in, there could be multiple reasons to give access, not only the criteria and the owner. And similar for manual sharing, that only one user means we have to go and manually share with a particular user.
Yeah.
So like that,
So
any kind of limitations, this came in my mind.
to overcome these two, we have epic sharing. So it's more of a feature, uh, but we do not see it more from the limitations point of view. But I'll see that. Okay. See, it's not about limitation. Try to think it in a way that what suits you well, which option will suit you well. Salesforce has given you multiple options for multiple scenarios. Okay, so it's not like manual sharing is limited feature. Manual sharing is really good for their own specific use cases. So we are not saying that one thing is better than the other. Okay, when you give interviews for companies like Salesforce or something, and when you present these things in a limited way, like manual sharing is very limited and Apex sharing is better than it, they will not like it. The reason is that they have given two different features for two different things. So if you try to fit in something which is not intended to be fit in there, and if you try to fit in manual sharing to share records with hundreds of user multiple times, then they will say that your solutioning is wrong. You are trying to choose a tool which is not fit for that particular need. So don't try to compare these things in interviews. Instead, say that manual sharing is for the different use case versus Apex sharing is for the different use case. It's same like asynchronous Apex. Future method is a good thing, but only for its own use cases, not for the cases where you can use batch Apex. So it doesn't mean that future method is less powerful than batch or batch is better than future. Nothing is better than. There are two different solutions. They have two different use cases. Okay, don't try to compare them in terms of their power. Okay, you will lose that battle. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
and but I will note down some of these if I find any. Okay, I am
Yeah,
telling
as a limitation.
own experience, guys. The whenever you I was also very when I was new, I was also in interviews, I used to take it like that only, that batch epics is not good enough, that is why we have queuable epics. But that's not the case. It's not the case that something is not good and then they have other thing. It's just that few things are designed to do few functionalities, and it's not a good use case, then you'll choose the other options. But they both have their own use cases, and if something has its own use case, then we cannot say that it is limited. Okay, we can point out the limitations, as in these are the things we cannot do, and that is why we have the other tool available. But we cannot say that this is less powerful than the other, because they both have their own power in their own context. Okay.
Yeah, Mohit,
It's like,
not as a limitation, but whenever we are using the Apex sharing, so in that case, we need to do the coding. So we need to maintain the code. So that might be one case.
see, okay,
Even though you said already that it's totally depend on the case.
right.
So
So, yeah, if see, if you get a good interviewer, whatever you say, he will take it very lightly. Okay. If you get a bad interviewer or a egoistic interviewer, he might take it in a different way, that okay, you're saying that manual sharing is not good. Okay, I will tell you that why it is good, and then he will, take it
yeah,
sensitive manner. So sometimes when you go for an interview, just by understanding interviewer, you improvise little bit. Okay, that's what is like fitting to the situation. So sometimes it is required.
yeah.
Okay.
Mohit, one question. Like before that, you said something regarding the role hierarchy. Someone was asking that the why to share the manager or something, that question. So
Mhm.
I'm just unable to get it.
I'm also not able to get that completely, so that is why I asked to write. What was the crux of that question is that if role hierarchy is already in place, and if manual sharing is already there, then if, let's say, there is a sharing rule written, then what is the need of it? Okay, so sometimes it is like finding the actual question what he's trying to ask. You can say that, okay, there might be possibility that along with managers we are sharing that record with couple of other users as well. If if sharing rule is there and role hierarchy is by default giving access, then ideally sharing rule is not required at all. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, Mohit, one more thing. Like, I have been asked one question. Suppose we have org, and in org, suppose there is multiple user, and if one user is creating any record, it should be visible and editable by all user. But there is a one field that is email field or something, email ID or some field. And suppose while creating the record, the owner is putting some value on that field. So that field should be only visible to the owner, not for all. But even though record should be editable and visible to all.
See, that email field you will control by the field level security. So that will come into the profile and permission set zone, and you will control whosoever just need the edit access on email field and whosoever don't need access on the edit field. Okay. So you will control the field visibility via the object and permission set. But when it comes to, it should be shared, that record should be shared with everybody. You can have OWD as public read write. Everybody will be able to see that. Everybody will be
Yeah.
able to edit that, and then whosoever have edit access on email feed via their profiles or permission set, they only will be able to edit it. Additionally, you can make it read only on the layout as well, but ideally doing it on the object will be better. So from the field level permissions of profile, you go and make it read only for the users you want to make them read only. So it will have a combination of object level and record level security.
Okay. Okay.
Guys, you guys have so many questions on record sharing and security, but I don't see them getting added on the sheet. Okay, you add those things because it will help you when you revise these concepts. Okay, now collectively we discuss 15-20 questions, but later on after 20 days, you will forget these questions. Okay, so if you note them down, we can revise them later on when we do crash courses on the important topics. So note them down. I have given the edit permissions to everyone. Note them down inside below the questions we already have, and it will be good for everyone when we revise these things. Okay.
Mohit, I see still view only for me.
It is still view only for you? That is
Yeah, I sent a request also. Now I'm sending it again.
okay. Just a second.
Batch to document. I mean,
So one of my student changed the ownership of it.
For me also, it's just read only.
Just a second. I'll go from Gmail and see the sheet. Okay. Let me give you this one, okay? Putting it on chat. Okay, use this one. You should be able to edit it. I'll have to just change it to,
yeah, even this needs
yeah, yeah.
access.
I'm changing it. I'm changing it. Okay, now if you refresh it, you should be, yeah, let me just resend the link. See, the reason why I shared it with the edit mode is that because anybody can add question. It should not be like your question will not be heard. Whatever question you have, add it here and I'll definitely answer those. But it has couple of limitations, or you can say challenges as well. Like people share these things with external users and they don't care about the content here. They just care about the interview questions, and they sometimes they made no modifications. There have been previous instances when people deleted the content as well. So make sure that you all have one soft copy of it in your laptop as well, downloaded one. Sometimes people, because I cannot control the question. Even if somebody sharing it with the external user, make sure that you share the copied version of it. Make a copy of it and then share it. I have no problem with sharing. It's not like I don't want knowledge sharing or something. It's just that I don't want these things to get deleted. That's it. And I have seen so many instances where this was shared with external users, and see, I know that if you guys have brother and sister who are working on the same thing, you obviously will share, and I don't want to control that thing. It is completely okay with me. The purpose here is knowledge sharing. So even if you are sharing it with external user, I'm okay with it. Just make sure the security of it, uh, because it has, the students have put a lot of hard work. Now you guys will be putting hard work on this. You see, these questions, company specific questions, were added by students itself. I have not done a single line on this particular section. So now today you can see that Deloitte 3 years experience, what kind of questions will be there, so that it is also your responsibility to add questions on this, so that when future somebody else checks, they'll have handy list of questions. Okay, company wise or normally as well, it helps everybody. It's a win-win situation for everyone. Okay,
Mohit, I have dropped one question. It is kind of a designing the system.
go ahead.
I have dropped a message. Yeah, I'll iterate it. I have a company which has been widespread across countries, and for that company, they have the different teams in each country, like sales and service and marketing, as in that. So they have sold a product and they have to do a service of the product. Okay, once they do that, might be, I mean, they have the case management where for every sold cases, for every sold products, they have the service. The cases will come from the customer. So the question is like, how do we configure this entire thing in such a way that when the case comes into with the priority or without priority, it should route to the specific country, it should route to the specific team, and it should route to the specific queue or whatever teams handling.
Okay, see, uh, we will start with the queue-based routing. Someone else also pointed out the same thing. We will start with the queue-based routing. Okay, see, initially you will not get everything in one single routing. Okay, for it, this is a process which keeps on increasing better, keeps on going better in each iteration. So we will start with the queue-based routing. We will create different queue for different business units. So let's say one is for sales, one is for marketing, one is for customer support, or whatever it is, and then we will keep on increasing more queues, and we'll keep on increasing more logic. Yeah, I'm talking about same omni-channel routing. So we will do it with the queue-based routing on omni-channel, and then we will keep on increasing the queues based on the use cases we find out. And then later on we can improve it based on skills as well later on if you're comfortable with them, or there are multiple ways. But when you have to answer this, you can say to begin with we'll have omni-channel queue based routing, and then this process will see the outcome of that process. Okay, so based on that we will see if we'll have to improve on it, add more queues, or sometimes few customers also go for custom routing because they have complex use cases. They want a combination of queue based routing plus skill based routing. Routing should happen based on skill as well as queue. So inside queue there has to be skills as well. Sometimes they go for custom solution as well. Okay, so you will start with the queue based, and then later on you will see if the need is to actually move it to apex or something related to custom model, or if it is giving you good fruitful results, then you will continue improvising or improving this existing process. Okay, see, whenever any real-time requirement comes in for requirement like this, you ideally get a lot of time to do that. So if you'll have to answer it in a minute, you will just tell the approach you feel that will be good for you. Okay, it's not necessary that your answer will be right or wrong. It's just that approach you feel. And so the answer will basically tell the interviewer that how deep or how bigger picture you can see for a solution like this. So now let's say somebody asks me, if you will have to merge two org, how will you do that? So it's not a 1 minute thing. It's not a switch which I'll have to turn on and off. It requires a lot of planning. Sometimes planning itself take a year to complete. Okay, so when you have to answer such kind of questions in an interview, just go with a high level approach and explain that approach, and then obviously have an scope to improvise and improve, and say that we'll see how the things come. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys, please adding questions. That is very important. Okay, and record sharing and security questions we will cover tomorrow. I have added few questions today. I got edit access on this today, but why I'm not owner of it? I will check that. So I have shared.
Batch 2 you keep in pipeline. I mean, since we don't have the access currently for that batch 2 sheet, edit access.
So the copy which I shared with you all is basically the batch 2 sheet, and we will add on top of it, and whatever was the older version of it will remain there, but you need not to add anything on it. Okay.
Okay.
So this is for you, batch 2 sheet, interview preparation and question set, so that we'll have a clear bifurcation that this was your hard work. Okay. And let me start.